Hi everyone, this is Pierrick from P2DESIGN. I recently worked on a short commercial and I was in charge of the whole production based on the script from my customer. It will be released on internet and probably on the Belgium TV and cinemas, which is awesome. I can show you the whole video as some parts are to be fixed and it hasn't been officially launched, but here it is mostly.
Bonjour, je suis Pablo de chez Burddy et voici la board photo qui animera tous vos événements. Montage et utilisation d'une simplicité enfantine, structure en aluminium et verre tactile anti-vandalisme. Éclairage LED de haute qualité pour sublimer vos invités. Caméra de 18 millions de pixels pour ne manquer aucun détail. Impression professionnelle en 8 secondes. Personnalisation complète, tout ça à partir de... Livré gratuitement. Alors, on s'appelle...
So whenever you start a project you should have a briefing, so here was the one the customer gave me. We'd like to have a parrot character to embody our new brand. It should be based on our little office parrot, and we'd like it cross-stylized between Angry Bird and Rio character, so I've prepared this reference board. It will act to present our new photo booth device, some kind of selfie device. We'd like it a little fat and funny, like some friendly, not superhero stylized character. As I have quite a good idea of what I wanted, I've directly started concepting with 3D sculpting. So I've started modeling the head using dynamic topology and we rapidly got it confirmed. I then go for the body, and as soon as it was confirmed I went to make the retopology. The only question I had was to know if our character would have wings or hand. We went for hand as it should be easier to act with this and will make conception easier. So once the retopology was done, it was the time where we can agree on some proportion to be reworked, like the arm size, because he looked a little too bold. Once I was done with the retopology, I've used the multi-res modifier and the shrink wrap to source as much detail as possible from the dynamic topology sculpt. Then you have to make some kind of polishing pass of sculpting to get rid of bugs and create your UVs. Once it's done, I generally apply the highest level of multi-resolution. Here it was only 2. And export it to ZBrush so that I can sculpt fine details like scales and wrinkles. And once it was done, I could output normals, occlusion and displacement, and eventually curvature maps that would help contrasting and enhancing the further painted texture. So it's a classical hand paint texture with soft colors. I then started building the base shader for the character. Work on fur and feather and use his hair system to create all the feather, playing with the clumping option, and spent a lot of time combing everything. So there are multiple layers of fur system and particle system, and the hairstyle is close to the bird I've made before. So it was time to output some render for my customer to confirm. So I've just added 2 shape keys, one to open the mouth to show the inside of the bird and also helped me to paint in the mouth, and another one to open the eyes because it looks more appealing. I've used the 2 spheres, one with a pure diffuse and one with a pure gloss, just to control my lighting, because when you are using complex shaders or are developing complex shading, it's good to have a simple shader as a reference to tweak your lighting. If it works nicely on those 2 shaders, then it will work with your complex character. So at this stage it was time to give some life to the character, so I had to develop the rig. At this time the script was already confirmed, so I knew that my character would have to dance and add medium extreme poses, and the voice was also recorded by the French voice of Jim Carrey, so we had a really good acting and there was a lot of text to be said by our character. Before I dived into this, I just had a look to the making of Rio because they were talking about the rigging, which was really nice, and they show how they've made the facial deformation, keeping the upper part of the beak as rigid as possible, because if you animate it, it looks really strange and smooth and you lose this hard surface appearance and feeling, and it really didn't work. So I kept this in mind and start the rigging. To create the rig, I've just used the Rigify add-on using the Picaut human metering version of it. It has some additional controllers like those breast controllers. Even if you're not working on a female character, this allows you to have more blended deformation onto the breast, and you're also able to remove those facial bones or any part that you want. You may test before removing them. Okay, so then when you just click generate, it will automatically generate a rig based on those deformation bones. So one of the good things about this rigging is that it has a custom UI, and you can take control of it and change stuff and add as many lines as you want here just by editing with the text editor the script of the rig UI.py. And here what I do is that I just copy and paste those lines, change the layer index depending on whatever layer I've been using for my bones, and give it a name. So this is how I've named some of the bones layer on this one. For example, I have copied and pasted the first line, selected the index number 27 because this is where my feathers bone here are. So if I check here the rigging layers, and if I come over this, I can see layer number 27. So this is how you find the index number, and then I just give it a name and run the script. So I've kept exactly the same stuff right in here because I don't understand them at all. But what it does, that it gives me those additional lines like the feathers here. Okay. So for the body part, it's using the Picaut add-on from the Rigify family, let's say. I've just added this belly controller, which is very simple. All the facial has been reworked, so I've done it myself with this follow between the beak and this part. As told before, whenever I move those, only let's say the lips move, and this part stay still to keep it like a solid body, while the lower part here can be freely moved. So the whole thing is using bones deformation. I didn't go for a shape key because shape key allow you, I believe, to have better control, but it's constrained to whatever you have recording in the shape key, while when it's bone deformation you can have really better freedom upon your deformation. For the eyes, as for the mouth here, I'm using chains with stretch 2 and dampen track constraint. But for the eyes, there is a little something more. is that everything here is constrained to be rotating along the eyes. So if you add a look to the Jack Russell quotes, I tried to fix this using curve deformation, but the problem is that those curves follow world coordinates, and with extreme poses it doesn't work, while here I'm using bones to avoid eyelids to go inside the eyes or to go beyond. So that's really a nice system. That was pretty long to develop though. It's exactly the same here, and I'm using bendy bones because this is how we call them now, but these are just B-bone with several cuts. So whenever you choose to use B-bone, make sure that they are parent in one to each other or with any kind of target, because they need something to interpolate between their tail and their head. So whenever I'm developing a rig for advanced animation, like here, what I try to do is to have our classical deformation like those, and also have a secondary control to be able to shape anything as I want. So here I have my main bones allowing me to rotate the root and having a nice fall off. Then I have this second one that allow me to curve the feathers, and then I have those secondary controllers that allow me to give any shape I want to the feather. So whenever they touch something, or whenever he has to put his hand into his feather, that's important. And we have exactly the same things for every bones, let's say every joint, and also for the fingers. You see here I have my main control, and then I'm able to move them separately. If I want to tweak everything, I still have this fall off option here and independent movement as I want. There are also few shape key here that are just made as corrective shape key. These are driven shape key, and whenever I move the shoulder, for example, I will have here a value that is switch on, and you can see that it is made just to avoid some weird deformation. So there are not that much, because as the character will be covered with fur, whenever you have a strange thing, it won't appear as obvious as on a classical character. And also I had quite good deformation. And finally, I just created one pose library here just to be able to open the eyes rapidly, because going to this eye pose with this happy look was pretty long, because you have to tweak the different positions. And now I can show you the iris effect driven by a shape key. Script is confirmed, the voice is recorded, and our character is able to move. So now it's time to go into storyboarding. This is where you show the different main step and the different camera angles and the text that is being said. So I also show the different movement I want to give the character and some of the extreme poses here. And there are all those visual effects that explain my customer what I wanted to do. So as the storyboard was confirmed, I can go in the first step of animation, which is blocking. So I've set up my blend file here with the text that is being said, and I've set the main poses of my character using pressing T, the constant interpolation. So you just go for the extreme poses you want at the key moment of the animation. Once this is done, you can export this first video using the OpenGL render here. So another thing that I have used is to put markers here with the name of the camera I'm using. And I have my different camera here.
Chap 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 tadap chap 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 tadap beep 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 chap chap tadap bonjour.
So once the blocking is confirmed by the customer, we can go and start polishing the animation. So you will first build all the intermediate pose for your character, and then likely change the interpolation from linear to Bezier, and then start editing each block of animation. So one of the things I really like to do is to make some extreme deformation, like on the fingers here. You can see they are bending, not really like they should, but it really gives more information about the movement and make it smoother. So this is the kind of deformation I use a lot on the backbone, on the arms, and actually on the feathers. In some area I will work on the F-curve of my movement. So once you've done all the animation with the dope sheet, you can go even further with the graph editor, working on acceleration and deceleration of any movement and any position. Whenever I have an impact or a foot that goes on the ground or a deformation I can't get right with the dope sheet, I use the graph editor. I finally had to animate the different assets and then launch a little OpenGL render so that my customer can confirm the animation. The final stage is rendering and post-production. I've set different lighting and create different Blender file per camera angle. I've used two planes as rim lights, a fill and reflection light, and the whole scene is lighted with an HDRI. I've driven the Z rotation of the HDR with this empty, allowing obvious light orientation. I separated the set and character using different render layers and output them using the node editor to make the post-production in After Effects, as I feel more comfortable with it. I should have used EXR or any other 32 bits format to get the best output, but the per frame weight would have been insane. I'm using few passes, the ambient occlusion, glossy direct, and an index pass to separate the fur, as I knew it will need color corrections. I used to make heavy post-production, but lately I found that having a nice lighting and base rendering is more important. Post-production will mainly allow you to enhance everything and add the magic, but it won't save the file and the picture. In After Effects, I work on contrast and correct the fur color to make it blend betterly. Give some depth using the Z-Pass, and finally added some motion there. I've made the motion design and added to the 3D scenes. Once all sequences were finalized, I've assembled them and reworked the sound to fix lip sync matching and add sound effects, and finally exported everything in HD and delivered the final video. Hope you've enjoyed this making of, and I'll see you soon.